Lake George, glacier, gateway, and gunpowder. Welcome to Lake George, New York's 32-mile-long time machine. It's a place shaped by ice, carved by war, and at one point loaded up with cannons bound for the Revolution. Let's rewind 10,000 years. A glacier, one of those slow-moving, unstoppable behemoths, scraped its way through the Adirondacks, leaving behind this long, deep ribbon of water. That's how Lake George was born. But it wasn't just a pretty side effect of the Ice Age. This lake became a highway, a battlefield, and a logistical miracle for some of the biggest conflicts in American history. Fast forward to the 1700s, and Lake George is the I-87 of its time. Except instead of tourists with coolers and kayaks, you had British, French, and American forces ferrying supplies, troops, and on at least one occasion, an entire arsenal of artillery. During the French and Indian War, the British built Fort William Henry at the southern tip of the lake, while the French controlled Fort Carillon, which later became Fort Ticonderoga, at the north end. Control of the lake meant control of movement. Armies weren't marching over mountains. They were sailing and paddling across these waters, moving men and material like a conveyor belt of conquest. Now here's where things get even more interesting in the winter of 1775, 250 years ago. Henry Knox was sent on what may be history's greatest moving day. His job? Retrieve 60 tons of captured British cannons from Fort Ticonderoga and drag them 300 miles to Boston to help George Washington break the British siege. That meant figuring out how to get heavy artillery down a frozen Lake George, across the Hudson, and through the Berkshires in the dead of winter. Knox worked with locals, people who knew the lake and how to build boats that could carry the weight. They borrowed or built sturdy bateaux, flat-bottom boats, to move the cannon south. Some of those guns were likely hauled over the ice itself, an early lesson in upstate New York's favorite winter activity, testing the limits of these frozen lakes. Without Lake George and without the ingenuity of people who helped Knox move those cannons, the siege of Boston might have dragged on, and the Revolutionary War might have played out very differently. So next time you visit, take a moment to appreciate Lake George, not just for its crystal clear waters and scenic views, but for the fact that it helped carve both the land and the course of history. And hey, at least you don't have to drag a cannon with you. Now about the hike. 20 miles, 20 to 25 degree temperature, but heavy winds, so the wind chill was in single digits most of the day. I did benefit from being in the forest at times, so the actual wind chill on me was not as bad at times. Vertical gain. At one point in the hike, you actually have to cross over a mountain and then work your way back to the lake shore. So the vertical gain was 2,000 feet. So that's a pretty substantial day, 20 miles, 2,000 feet elevation gain. I didn't get any rain, but it was thick gray clouds all day, which was a bit of a bummer on the spirit. And then a mistake. I got a ride to the starting point, and the kind gentleman showed up a little bit early, and I didn't have the heart to ask him to run through a McDonald's or something so I could get some breakfast. And the hotel breakfast was a snafu, no big deal. I thought I'd just get something while I was hiking. Well, sure enough, across that 20-mile route, every home was boarded up. Every business was closed for the season. I got my first drink of water and my first bite to eat at 3 in the afternoon at the end of a 20-mile hike. I won't make that mistake again. So, tough day, but a good learning experience. And, within a couple of hours of being at the hotel and a shower and a nap, my body sort of bounced back. So happy about that.